Hi everyone, my name is Jen and welcome to the Book Refuge. Alright, so today we have an oddly specific recommendation. Maybe it's not even too oddly specific, I don't know, I never know what some people consider specific or not. But we're doing Not His Baby recommendations. Now, this one obviously overlaps with quite a few. It overlaps with single mom. It overlaps with, stepdad. It overlaps with, what's some other ones? I don't even know. Those are kind of the main overlaps, but I am very specific of like the heroine is pregnant during this story. She will have the baby sometime during this book. So, that's where it overlaps with the books with pregnancy. My brain was like, I knew there was one that I was missing. So this overlaps with books with pregnancy, and then it is also Not His Baby and stuff like that. So I really, really love this. As it will be no surprise, there is a specific book that I know was raising interest in this trope. Although, to be fair, this is one that people have asked for before I read this book, and I've liked this trope as well. I also will have 3 books at the end that are ones I haven't read yet, but I have been told also have this trope. So that's how I do this. So the one we'll just start off with, because y'all probably know it's the one that inspired this video anyway, and it is P.S. You're Intolerable by Julia Wolf. This might be the very first video of mine you're seeing. Who knows? If it is, hi, hey, I do oddly specific and hundreds and hundreds of rec videos at this point. There's a playlist. Go ahead and check it out. I have kinky recs. I have dark romance recs. I have mafia recs. I have everything. Seriously, I have everything. So this was my favorite book of 2023, and so it has inspired quite a few of the videos I'm making in January, and there are still a couple more to come that are from this book. But this is a office romance. It is a boss and an assistant romance, and our heroine gets hired by the hero when she's only 9 weeks pregnant. He doesn't know she's pregnant yet, and she at the time is living with the baby daddy, who's also her friend, and they are like, they had a one-night stand to make this baby. They're not really in love with each other or anything, but pretty soon that guy ditches her, and now she's on her own, and she's left with a lot of debt, and it's very overwhelming, and her boss seems like kind of a uptight jerk. So she writes these little notes and rips them off of the paper and like saves them. They're her little rebellion that she has every day. And in this case, she just needs a way to like release her feels without, actually pissing him off or anything. But once he finds out that she's pregnant, and also once she then goes on maternity leave, he realizes how essential she's made herself to his life, and he also just wants her around him, not just as his assistant but in his life. And so this is a slow burn romance, and Elliot, as he falls for Catherine and her baby Joey, you just completely fall for him. It's so great. So yes, this is the book that inspired this video, but there are quite a few books that fit in this trope, so there's that. Then the next one to mention, where am I putting this book, is one that I just read because it has a different trope that overlaps with that one, but we'll save that for a different day. But this one is called 1% of You by Michelle Gross, and this is a very young mom. She's only 21. She already has a 4-year-old or 3-year-old going on 4-year-old daughter, and she's pregnant with her second. Both of her babies are with the same man who has been her boyfriend since high school. But she caught him cheating on her with her cousin. And so she's like, I'm not going to do this. I'm not going to be the woman who's in this type of relationship who just lets someone treat her however they want because she wants to stay with him for her kids. So she makes the tough decision to leave, and things are very hard because she is a young single mom who's going to nursing school and she's on her own. So she's in a tough place. And then her name is Hadley. Our hero, his name is Elijah, and he actually lives next door to her. And at first he is pretty judgy of this single mom who he thinks kind of the worst of her. He's kind of a prick to start with. We'll just say it like it is. But he quickly realizes that this woman is so much stronger and made of sterner stuff than he thought. And he slowly becomes closer with her and her kids, and he slowly just becomes so, you know, in awe of this woman who's able to do what she does. And it's really great to see. It's really beautiful to see. It also has a little bit of a lactation kink later on. So there's that. All right. Then there's another book that was a favorite of mine in 2023, and that is Worth the Fall by Claudia Connor. This is a mom who has 4 little kids, and she's pregnant with the 5th, and her husband died like 6 months ago before even knowing she was pregnant, and now she's on her own. And at the beginning of this book, she's actually taking her and all of her kids on a vacation, and she's trying to handle all of them on her own, and she meets Matt, who is on a little bit of a break from work, and he happens to be at the same resort as her with his cousin, and he gets a little foam football thrown at him by one of her kids, and now that he has seen them, he wants to be around them, and he ends up spending his whole vacation like getting to know them and helping her out. And when it's time for them to go home, she's like, you have wiggled your way into my life in only a week, and how am I supposed to do without you now? Like, you jerk. You made me like want you in my life. But Matt, he's like, well, why can't we try to make it work? Why can't we do it? And it's really beautiful to watch how he just doesn't even hesitate for a second to just want to take up this whole family. And I just love that. All right, then there is Moonlighter by Serena Bowen. I don't have too much to say about this one. It's been a long time since I've read it, but I believe this one is a bodyguard romance, and our heroine is famous somehow. I can't remember if she's a singer or an actress or like what she is, but she got pregnant with her ex, who is kind of abusive, and so she doesn't want him to be in the baby's life at all, and she ends up hiring, I believe like this is a part of, there was just this kind of like breakaway from the Brooklyn series where there was this security company, and there was a couple books about that, and this is one of those. So this guy ends up being her bodyguard, and she's pregnant through this one, and yeah, it's good. It has lots of good tropes in it. Then there is Damaged Goods by Talia Hibbert. This one is just a novella, and it connects with, I forgot the name of the series. I forgot the name of the series, but it connects with the other books in a really interesting way that I don't want to spoil it. But basically this woman is in an abusive relationship, and when she finds out she's pregnant, she's like, I don't want my baby growing up in this. And so she leaves, and she goes to this small town on, I believe it's a coastal town, and she ends up falling for a young gentleman who lives there, who wants her and her baby to be in his life. Then we have a paranormal one here for you paranormal like sci-fi. It's sci-fi. Why did I say paranormal? Yeah. And it's Untamed Hunger by Tiffany Roberts. This one, I almost forgot about this one, but I love this one. So yeah, this one is, our heroine is a human who has been kidnapped, and they really want to experiment on her because she happens to be pregnant, and they really want access to her baby, but she's being kept as a slave. And our hero, he ends up rescuing her. But when he rescues her, she doesn't see him as a rescuer because he pretended like he was going to buy her. And so she's like, wow, this dude is trying to buy me, to use me for whatever he wants. And so she like attacks him and gets away. But then now she's on the run from those same people that he like tried to rescue her from. So she's in some trouble. But yeah, she's also pregnant. And I love this couple. They're just so cute. I love them so much. So highly recommend this whole series as well. Infinite City is the series that this is in. And you probably should start at the beginning of this series. Would be a good idea with this one, because the characters in this are kind of like larger than life, and it'd be a shame to miss out on any of them. All right, now we're going to go through some historicals, because the rest that I have are all historicals. So there is Annie's Song by Katherine Anderson. This one is a bit of a divisive one. Look at this step back, because it does involve a young woman who is deaf, and she is thought to be simple-minded because nobody can communicate with her. And I think she's just deaf, right? She's not blind. Yeah, she's deaf. Sorry, it's been a while since I read this. And she actually, in the beginning of this, gets raped. And when her parents find out that she's pregnant, they are going to like send her away. But now the uncle of this baby, so it was his brother who assaulted Annie. And he is horrified that his brother did this. Like, he's horrified by it. And he had offered the parents, if it turns out Annie's pregnant, let me know. And I want to help because that's my flesh and blood that she'll be pregnant with. And it's awful. So when it becomes clear that she is increasing, he gets told about it and he agrees to marry her and take her to his home. And once she has the baby, he will adopt the baby. So like, that's the plan. So there is a whole bunch of levels of why this is effed up. But to me, this was a really beautiful slow burn romance as I believe Alex is the hero, as he comes to realize what's really going on and then goes about trying to communicate with her and give her language, because her family has never tried to communicate with her. They've only used like punishment and reward to get her to do what they wanted her to do. So it's very tragic life that Annie's led so far, and it will gut you. Like, the triggers in this should not be ignored. But for me, I thought this was beautiful. Not everybody does. A lot of people have strong opinions about it, but this was one of my favorite books of 2021 when I read it, and I think it's really beautiful. And Alex is not perfect. There's ways that how he's written that are a bit eyebrow raising, but for me, the journey, the beauty of this is stronger than that for me. Okay, then we actually have 2 books in the same series. I didn't even think about it when I was like, I started writing all these down. I was like, oh my gosh, those are in the same series. So first though, we have The Earl Takes All by Lorraine Heath. This is one of her most bonkers books. She has a few that are up there, but this is one of them. Because this one is about Edward and, let's see, it's Edward and, what's the brother's name? Edward and Albert. Okay, there we go. And Edward and Albert are twins. Albert is married to Julia. And Albert and Edward go on this trip to Africa, and Albert dies. Now, Julia and him are expecting a child. And on Albert's, like, as he's dying, he asks Edward to be me, is what he says. Now, it is illegal at this time in England to marry your brother's widow, because it could have been used for nefarious reasons. Also, I think at the time too, the church saw your like brother's widow like as your sister. Like, I think there was also some other reasons why that had to do with it. But so he pretends that Edward is the one who died and Albert is the one who came back. So he basically has to give up his identity so that he can be Julia's husband and be there for her while she has the baby. And Julia and Edward had never really gotten along, and so now Albert has to like pretend to be his brother, and it's difficult. It's tough for him. But this one is absolutely crazy, and it will break your heart, but it also is just so clever, because as only Lorraine Heath can be. Then the next book in that series is The Viscount and the Vixen. And this one is about a woman named Portia, who she knows that she's pregnant at the beginning of this, and she needs a father for her baby. So she has been in communication with this older gentleman. I can't remember if it's the Earl of Locksley or what. But he agreed to have her as his wife, even though he's considered to be like a little crazy. Ever since his wife died, he's been barely there all these years, though he stayed around, this might make me cry, to take care of his son and his son's friends, which are the other 2 men in the series before this. And when Portia shows up to be married, she thinks she's marrying this older gentleman who, you know, won't mind if the baby's not his or whatever. But then the son, who thinks that she's trying to trick his dad, which I mean, she kind of is, but the dad was like okay with it, he steps up and marries her instead to save his father from her. So now she's in a pickle because she's like, well, now my baby's being passed off as like a fraud to be the next heir of this, you know, which is sad to like see happen or whatever. So yeah. Oh, it's the Marquess and the Viscount. Yes. So, yeah. But anyway, that's this one. And I love this one as well, even though the ending of this series just ripped my soul out. It just ripped my soul out. So there's those two. Then there is When the Earl Met His Match, which was also one of my favorite books of 2023. Can you see I love single mothers and not his baby? Like, it's a thing. So yeah, this one is about Phoebe and Hugh. And it's funny because it's a little bit of the situation like the Viscount and the Vixen. Hugh is actually mute. He's a speechless hero, and he has been looking for a wife. His father is going to die soon. His father wants to see him married off and taken care of by the time, like before he dies. And so Hugh has put out an advertisement for a wife. Now Phoebe ends up seeing this advertisement in the paper, and the things this guy is looking for, she just thinks are ridiculous. So she writes him a letter kind of poking fun at him, and they begin this back and forth. Now Phoebe had a fling with a, you know, with who she sees as her first love. He's her piano teacher, and they have this fling, and she gets pregnant. And when they bring it to her parents buy him off and then plan to send her to a woman's home and take her baby from her when it's born and just like not let her be a mom. And so she overhears this, and she's like, hell to the no. Are you taking me from my baby? It is not happening. And so she runs off to Hugh, and she doesn't know that he is a future Earl of Albury. And so when she gets there, she's like, oh no, well, I don't want to pass my child off as your heir. I thought you were like a merchant or someone who wouldn't mind if it wasn't your child or whatever. But, yeah. But Hugh is actually a bastard himself. And he promises to love her child, boy or girl. He will honor them as his own. And so they get married, and he promises to love her. And that is their relationship for them. Very beautiful one. So then I have 3 to mention. One of them is about to come out, and I haven't read it yet, but I want to. And then the other 2 are ones that were on recommendations list for this that I haven't read, but I want to. So Stay With Me by Brooke Montgomery is coming out on February 7th, and it will be a best friend's brother, not his baby, roommates, small town, cowboy, all of those things rolled into one. I'm very much looking forward to this book so much, so I'll have the pre-order link down below if you want to check it out. Then one of the books that is actually on my TBR for this year, it was in my 12 Recs from 12 Friends, is Sweet Lullaby by Lorraine Heath. So apparently Lorraine Heath really likes this trope as well. So there's that. There's another one from her that's a Not His Baby as well. That's part of her, one of her other series. And then Room Hate by Penelope Ward. This one was on a lot of lists as well. So let me know some of your recommendations that are not his baby, where she is pregnant in the book. So not ones where it's just a single mom and she's already had the baby, ones where she's pregnant in the book. Let us know down below. I'll have links to all the books that I recommended in here down below, so check those out. Make sure you're following the channel. Check out my recommendations playlist. I have over, wow, I don't even know how many are on that now. Like over 400 are on there maybe. There's a lot. So we'll see you next time, friends. Bye-bye.